Hi, folks. This is Mrs. Matheson here, and I'm introducing the next chapter. We're moving on to chapter 18, renewable energy. So, this is all the energy we get from our resources, our natural resources like the sun, the wind, moving water, power of the earth's heat. Okay, so that's what we're talking about today. All right, moving on to the next slide. So, a little history. Renewable energy has been around for a long time. First, we had wind power back in the 7th century Persia, which was the old name. Now it's near Iran and Afghanistan. 11th century, they came to Europe because of the Crusades. 18th century in America, there were 1 million at this time pumping water to farmlands. And then in the 1830s, the windmill died out, and now it's back again. Wind power has been one of those renewable energy powers that's been around for a long time. So in general, what is renewable energy? It is any energy from a source that's constantly being renewed or formed. So number one, solar energy from the sun. Two, wind energy from the wind. Three, power moving water, hydroelectricity. We talked about some of this earlier this year. We talked about dams. Four, Earth's heat, geothermal energy, and five, biomass fuels. So basically, biomass means anything that used to be alive, no longer alive, and we can use those once living things as fuel, whether burned or whatever, turned into some kind of energy source. Right. So first today, I'm going to talk about the power from the sun. So solar energy. This is one of the quickest growing energies in the world. Okay, it's good when obviously when the sun's out. It's a very powerful source of energy. It's renewable. Recall the water cycle and photosynthesis powers the wind. So inadvertently, wind power also comes from the sun. There are three types of solar energy. The first one we call is passive solar energy. So this is just using the sun's energy to heat something up directly. So if you have, say, a window facing the south. So if you notice, maybe there's part of your house that always gets hotter than the other part. Like for my house, the front of the house always is warmer than the back of the house. My daughter's room is always cold, and my room is usually warmer because my room faces the sun. The second is active solar heating. So active would be, say, energy from the sun that is collected and used to heat water and buildings. So is actually using the solar energy here. So the actively using it through the solar panels. I'm just going to move this screen up a little so you can see the title. There we go. Okay, so that's an active solar heating right there. This is how it happens. It's collected on the solar panel right there. It goes through a loop, and this is how the water is heated, and then it becomes a energy source. All right. The third kind of solar power I talk about is photovoltaic cells. So this is the conversion of the sun's energy into electricity. So basically, what happens is the sunlight falls on a semiconductor, causing it to release electrons. Remember, energy electricity is always about the electrons. Those special, tiny little microparticles, subatomic particles of an atom, and those are the ones responsible for electricity. So the electrons flow through a circuit that is completed when another semiconductor in the solar cell absorbs electrons and passes them on to the first semiconductor. These parts are very expensive and hard to get. Europe is so far advanced in wind and solar that they are buying parts up faster than can be manufactured. So again, this is a little picture here, down here, of how it works. Okay, and that right there is a picture of a photovoltaic cell. You've probably seen these before. Um, you've seen them maybe in sometimes using calculators and lights, maybe. whatnot. That's where I've seen them. So I put some new slides up here. This is just to show you some of the current uses of solar power. So despite its drawbacks, the solar surges worldwide by 20% each year. So this is all current data that I found right here in 2020. Okay. Obviously, the information comes from last year because this year is not quite over yet. When I say drawbacks include weather and that it's pretty expensive. Okay. So some people like want to have it on their house, so they end up leasing it instead of buying it. But even leasing can cost money. And initially it costs more money until you start to, see a return on your investment when it starts to pay for itself. So there is an initial cost of it. So that can be considered a drawback for some. Also, that it's not always sunny. So for some solar panels, that's an issue. The top countries, believe it or not, in 2019 that had solar power was Germany, leading the bunch, then China, then Japan, Italy, and then the US. Yeah, I was surprised to see the US at number 5 as well. I thought we'd be a little higher, but that is the actual numbers from last year. Um, According to our Energy Administration, 2019 again, for fossil fuels, what we talked about last chapter, there is a total of 2,580 billion kilowatts, which makes up about 62.7% the share of the total energy costs. Again, I'm going to see if I can make this screen bigger so you can see down here. There you go. So of those, we have natural gas being the leader. Then you have coal. Then you have petroleum liquids, petroleum coke, and other gases. Nuclear, that was at 19.7%. And then you had renewables adding for all of the renewables together to 17.5%. Okay. Have one more slide on this. Yep, renewables continue. Of the renewable powers, these are what round out the first one, hydropower. So again, the power of moving water, that's hydroelectricity. Then you have wind at 7.3%, biomass at 1.4%, which include wood, landfill gas, municipal solid waste. So those are like burning, used for burning sources. Solar at 1.8, photovoltaic 1.7, solar thermal 0.1, geothermal 0.4. And I think that's it for solar power. Yep, that's it. Okay, folks. We'll talk to you later, and we'll talk tomorrow about wind power. Have a nice day.